basically. And I don't know. it's all a big blur basically until I met you.
So tell us a little bit about the specialists and the scans that we can see here on the page, what those scans are actually showing and what you are unable to do.
Well, basically, the top scans on the picture there are a discogram. So what they do is it's a CT guided injection where they inject dye into your discs. When they do so, if your discs are actually fine and there's not a problem, the dye will sit in a perfect dark little spot in the center of the disc. As you can see with where the line is in mine, and you can see the needles basically protruding into the discs off to the side of them, the dye just spreads. It blankets the whole disc basically. So I had internally ruptured the gel inside the discs, causing nerve pain inside and out. One of the doctors that at the very end actually diagnosed me with discogenic pain. So I have nerves on the inside of my disc walls instead of just the outside like most normal people.
Okay. So describe how that felt.
It's constant agony. It's constant pain. Doesn't matter whether you're standing, whether you're sitting, lying, trying to walk. You can't do anything for any period of time, basically. You've got to keep alternating on the side of your butt cheek, which you're sitting on, so that you can stop the pain shooting down that leg. It affected all the nerves to the lower legs, as well as bowel, bladder, all those sorts of wonderful things on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was life altering. It stopped life basically to how we were beforehand.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the treatments that you did do for these 3 years, because you can see that it's from 2014 to 2017. So that's a long time that you're dealing with specialists and treatments.
Certainly was. Look, we did everything from hydrotherapies, physiotherapies. We did nerve blocks. I think I did like 3 or 4 different nerve blocks. And nothing worked. Everything was temporary. Like the recovery side of things to try and regain muscle tissue that I'd lost, all that sort of stuff. It helped, but in tiny little steps. There was no major leaps or bounds through that whole system.
Yeah.
I did the pain management clinics. I went to 2 different ones of those that the government body that was running the whole injury side of things sent me to. It was everything that they kept saying to me was that it was in my head, not in my back.
And then on top of that, there was multiple pain medications that he was on.
So how did that affect him, Karen? Maybe you can talk about that.
I nearly left. He was angry, aggressive, just really unstable emotionally. He'd be happy one moment, sad the next. He was almost suicidal at one stage. Yeah, it was really hard and really challenging during those times.
Yeah, and at that time you were also diagnosed with a pretty unfortunate condition there with some rogue cells and Ross River fever. So the whole family kind of went into, what would you say, a bit of a spiral? Survival.
Healing.
You were both terminated or couldn't work, and you had 2 small children. So how old were your children at the time?
Our boy was 18 months old and our daughter was 3.5.
Okay, so yeah, pretty difficult times to be dealing with, both of you unable to be present and be parents. So in 2016 I see they'd sent you for an upright MRI. So that was
sent ourselves. It was one of the only ones on this side of Australia basically. So to prove that there was something wrong with my discs, because by the time you do a jump into a normal MRI and you're lying down, the discs take back to their normal shape. So 90% of the time with people with back injuries, the bulges don't show because they're actually laying down. So we flew to Sydney and had a sit-down, multi-positional and stand-up MRI done down there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And
that we paid for that ourselves, and we did that on our own back, trying to prove that there was something going on. So.
Yeah. Okay, and then obviously the system throws you out because you're too hard. What was the discussion that went on there at the end?
Because of the time that I injured myself and the government laws and everything had changed to what they are now, you had to be deemed with a percentage to be able to be compensated or to seek compensation and everything else. So they kept it below the 5% and made sure of that. And basically, I walked away with absolutely nothing. Okay. They had no diagnosis for me. They had no anything. They had no idea.
Basically, they were satisfied that it was stable. It was not going to do anything more.
It was degenerative.
Was it?
They deemed me between the two.
4%.
No, they deemed me 30% worse after the second hearing, and that it was degenerating, but it wasn't bad enough to put it over that 5%, so that I could keep pursuing it to try and find something that was actually wrong and be compensated or pay for this wonderful back surgery that was supposed to have happened.
Right. Okay, so then you were. What happened then? January, February. How did you hear about Scanner or coming to see me?
One of the ladies up the coast that we knew, she said that we should try and find someone that does the scanner. So we jumped online and found you. You were the closest person. Yourself
and Lorna. And I read a little bit about your history and went, yep, this is where we need to go.
Yeah, okay. So Karen rang and tried to make a booking, but you were going away on holiday.
Okay, so when John came in to see me, he was all of the above, and the story absolutely just kind of took me by surprise, let's just say, because he was not in a good headspace. He didn't really know if this was going to help or work, and it was just another thing that they were really trying. So you can see here in these photos, that was John 2 weeks before the injury, and then this is a couple of photos there during their challenging times. You can see John did gain a little bit of weight there because obviously when you suffer a back injury, there's not a whole lot of exercise that goes on. And prior to this, I know, John, you were working out, and what were you doing for a job before?
I was installing pontoons, so with a company that's up the Sunshine Coast. So we were in the Brisbane River. We were all over Australia basically doing that. And I was still training 5 days a week as well. So weights training, cardio, the whole lot. So we were actually planning on doing one of the Tough Mothers.
Right.
And then everything fell apart.
Literally. So we've got a little video here of the kids, because always the kids are affected. And this was taken back in, when was this shot? This was right at the time of the injury.
June 2015.
Want to round with Daddy, and it's sad he doesn't want to round with me anymore.
Why's that?
Because he hurt his back, and that doesn't make his feelings happy. That's what I'm just gonna say.
So that makes you sad, does it?
Yeah, can you get his voice?
So I guess the kids are in bed, are they, Karen? I can't actually see you guys on my screen.
Oh, they're supposed to be.
Oh, but they're there?
Yeah, well, one's probably
one of
somewhere.
Them's sneaking around and listening still. So
Okay.
The one that was actually talking.
Oh, so does she want to come on and say something now?
Emily?
No, she's right.
It's always fun to hear the kids. Is she going to talk?
But it was definitely difficult and hard through that period. Like, Karen was right. Like I actually went to an employment agency at one stage to try and get light duty work sort of stuff, and they wouldn't leave me alone in the room while I did the paperwork and stuff like that. And I asked why, and one of the pieces of paper that they got me to fill out was a psych evaluation, and they deemed me at high risk of harming myself. And all I was there to do was try and find a job to keep myself amused.
Wow. So you can see here the scans and the reports. And I know as a therapist, I've had multiple clients come into me with a bag full of exactly this. They bring me all their photographs. I had one client say to me one time, you know, Sally, I've got a photo from every angle, from every machine available in Australia, from every angle and direction, but no one's actually touched me. And she threw them on my floor and she said, will you just help fix my back? And so people get to a point where they're absolutely sick of the photographs and they're sick of the scans and they're sick of the conflicting reports that goes on in the medical field. And, you know, John was just one of these cases. So I think they were trying to give you a spinal fusion. Is that correct? At one point?
They were going to remove L5-S1 and fuse it and artificial L5, L4.
Okay, so you can see here, this is a list of all of their appointments that they did have and the specialists that they did see, the radiology. And then you can see the quotes down here at the bottom, and the 3 quotes that they had for surgery were this amount of money. So you can see this is not a cheap exercise to go through, and you know, some of this is covered, but a lot of it is really not covered when people get given the quote for surgery.
Yeah, I don't think the actual private hospital bill was in there on that one.
No.
Okay. So you can see when you're fronted with something like this, it's quite an expensive angle to take. So when they started treatment with Scanner, you can see here we used the Scanner device and we did a number of treatments. Maybe John, you can talk about what happened in the first couple of sessions and then how you were introduced to the gel and the ASEA and what you thought of it when it first kind of came into your circle, let's just say.
Well, when I first, or with the first session that we had, like I got home and Karen said, do you feel any different? And I said, well, it's only number one, you know, I don't think one session's going to do anything. But probably about 3 hours later, I noticed that I wasn't actually in as much pain. And you'd used both the scanner and the gel on me. So I went, oh, definitely, I booked in again for next week. I think it was by the 3rd session that we had that Karen goes, I walked through the door and she goes, how you feeling? And I'm like, I'm actually feeling pretty good. And I bent over, not even thinking, and I actually reached past my knees for the first time in like 3.5, 4 years. And I stood back up again without having to hang onto the bench or bend my knees and walk my hands up my legs to get back up again. And we've just gone, oh my God, this is amazing. So we just, yeah, it was unreal. Just how quick it actually worked for everything else that I'd done, every doctor that I'd gone to see. And then, as you said, slap this stuff on your back, rub it on as much as you can.
And he was compliant. He did what he was told.
I did.
And for me to see, you know, how people respond and change in their mental health and their emotional health. And, you know, I could see it after the first treatment that a smile came to John's face. And then Karen actually came in, I think, on the 2nd or the 3rd appointment just to see what the heck was going on in here. And she had actually
sprained her ankle to do it.
Sprained her ankle. And so, you know, we started to treat her ankle at the same time as well. And John and Karen are both massage therapists. So, you know, they understood the body and they're fantastic therapists themselves. And when we started to talk about ASEA then, Karen obviously got it and John was a little more skeptical. I think you were talking at the time that you were looking at stem cell treatment and
I was.
You were pretty hell-bent on going for stem cells. Can you talk about what happened there in that shift and change when you started to change your mind?
The gentleman that's down Sydney that I was talking to about it, he I spoke to him about the procedure, how it would all go, everything else, but I was still getting treated by you at the same time and getting better and better and better as I was going. And he actually turned around and said, I can't see the benefit of doing what you want to do. He goes, I've tried it on a couple of other clients and he hasn't had success with it. And that was taking the stem cells out of your own hip and then injecting them back into the discs. So that the stem cells would be directly inside the disc and then start to regenerate the discs from the inside.
Right.
But with the gel, it turned within 2 months.
Probably not even.
2 months, I was almost like a normal person again. And I also went cold turkey off all the prescription medication too.
That's right. I remember you going off all of your meds.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you also had some family history going on of another condition to do with the kidneys. So do you want to talk a little bit about what was going on there in the background, also with you, but also your family?
Well, my brother was diagnosed many years ago and he passed away probably 10 or 11 years ago now, from a rare kidney disorder. And just recently my sister's been diagnosed with it as well. Towards the end of, like before I met you, towards the end of it, I actually started rapidly losing weight and starting to just couldn't retain water or anything like that. So I was actually in the early stages of renal failure at the same time as the back injury. Since my sister's been diagnosed, I've been to the specialists in the Royal Brisbane Hospital and they've diagnosed me with the exact same genetic makeup. So the only thing that's turned me around and stopped this in its tracks and keep my back healing is drinking the Sea liquid and rubbing that gel on 2-3 times a day.
Yeah, fantastic. So, side effect of drinking a Sea for your back was that it's actually starting to heal and repair all of the cells in your body. So according to our gene study, it shows it turns on the genes associated with 5 systems of the body: inflammation, immune system, cardiovascular, hormone, and digestion. So amazing, incredible stories that we're hearing of people that when they start to use these products and give the body what it needs to heal, it can actually start to heal and repair itself. But of course, on that note, I have to also say ASEA is not intended to diagnose, cure, or treat any medical conditions. It's purely giving the body what it needs so it can do what it's naturally designed to do, and that is to heal and repair. So we have to be very careful in making any claims. You can see here for yourselves the story of what happened to John when he started to embrace treatment using ASEA and using the redox technology to help stimulate his cells to do the job of healing and repairing, and also start taking care of mental space and family. So you can see here, they've got their life back again and they're back out in a boat. I remember John coming in one day. He's a great fisherman, and he said to me, I've been out fishing. And I said, my goodness, he shouldn't be hanging over the side of a boat, with a back condition like that. And he said, yeah, but that's what I love to do. And the smile that came up on his face was worth him kind of going back a step, just so that they could go back out on their boat and, have the kids and be smiling again. So you can see them there. Fraser Island at the bottom, that was just recently. Was that just this year?
Yeah, that was last year's trip.
End of last year.
That's the lighthouse at Fraser. So that's a 2-kilometre climb.
Yep, awesome. And running up the sand dunes at Moreton, I guess that is that correct?
That is.
Awesome. So super awesome to hear their story and to have you guys online with us tonight. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions, but if you do, maybe you could unmute yourself and you could ask some questions. Do we have anyone that's got a question? Fortunately, I can't see anyone here. I don't know why. Someone's unmuting. You can just speak. No, we don't have any questions. So,
Hi, Sally.
yes?
It's Ivita.
Hi, Ivita. Go right ahead.
no video. I wrote it in the chat thing, but I was just curious what doses John is taking of the ASEA and the gel.
The ASEA, the gel, all I was doing was just putting a good sized blob in the hand basically, and then rubbing it straight into that lower kidney area and all the way down to my tailbone basically. The liquid, as I found out, I was only taking the maintenance dose. I was only taking 60 mils in the morning and 60 mils at night. So
yeah, amazing results. But you know, the liquid and the gel, both very, very powerful. If you're using more gel, it is more concentrated in the molecules than the liquid. So if you're getting enough of that on often enough and regularly, you're going to get great results because it's going directly into that area of where the problem is. So it had redox going straight into that disc area and into that area of discomfort. So it was rebooting and getting the cells to detect, repair, replace, and heal. So you know, if you're carrying that tube with you at all times, it's a really easy thing for you to keep applying to your body, especially in those areas of problems. And then drinking the liquid, that has an effect on the internal. So, you know, that's where it's rebalancing on that blood test level and all those scans and reports that the doctors like to run. That's where you start to see results change by drinking the liquid. It works both ways, from the outside in using the topical and from the inside out using the liquid. So
with that there, Sally, for the first 5 months we only had the gel. We didn't actually start the liquid.
That's correct. Yeah, so there was a process before they embraced taking the liquid, let's say, and you know, obviously in their financial position of not being able to work for so many years, you know, they could really only use what they had. So they did purchase a home device, and Karen could start to treat John at home between sessions. And after about July, I wanted to just have a look at my notes and see how many times I actually saw John, but it wasn't a long span of treatment time that, you know, I was seeing him. It really started end of January, February, and by March, April, he was back to doing crazy things and fishing and smiling, and, you know, so it really wasn't a long time frame that he was in here. And it was really once a week that I was treating him, and they were doing their own kind of treatment at home between sessions. And then, as he said, the liquid really came in as the next thing that kind of continued that process. Because when he was up, mobile and moving and back to work, you know, there was really no need for him to be in here, because they could maintain with their skills and, you know, using the gel and the tools that they had at home to continue that process. So the beauty of having technology in your house is that when something happens, you've got something that you can immediately act and do something to start to heal. So that's what I love to do, is inspire people to take charge of their own health, have the tools that they need to start to repair themselves. And between Scanner and ASEA and Renew and, you know, oils, there's so many amazing things out there that you can use to stimulate that process of healing on a mental, physical, and emotional level. So, you know, the doctors won't tell you about these kinds of things because they just simply don't know about it unless they're open to learning it outside of university and their studies. But, you know, in their defense, they're busy all day. They're treating patients, you know, 7 minutes at a time. They really don't have enough time to really delve into the depths of what is going on in someone's life. And, you know, they're trained to type into a computer and spit out a prescription, you know, that will help ease someone's discomfort and pain. But the problem is it's masking and it's blocking, and it's not actually getting to the root cause and trying to stimulate that body's innate ability to heal and repair. So we're all designed to heal and repair. We need to embrace it and harness it, and just, you need some help. So you need some treatments, and you need to use something that's restoring you from the inside out. So using ASEA for me has been the single greatest, best thing that I ever came across, because it enables us to stay healthy as a family, but it's a tool that I can give my clients to use that they can use on themselves and then transpire through their family. So you've all heard some great stories that I've shared, you know, of my family. And when you start talking to people who are using it, you have to get off that skeptical fence and just try it. So if you're just looking at this and you're unsure and you're in that position of where John was and you've got nowhere to go, you do have somewhere to go. You've always got somewhere else to go. You just have to get out of your own way. You have to stop saying no and stop being so skeptical and start saying yes. If someone's bringing you something out of, you know, concern and, good nature and because they care for you, then you really should do the diligence of taking a look and trying it. And don't just try it to try and prove them wrong. We all try and want to do that and go, I tried your stuff and it didn't work. But, I was skeptical at the time, and 9 months I spent kind of looking at it and going, does this really work? But I just want you to imagine just for a moment that what if it did work, and what if you could have a story like John and Karen where you can come out at the end of that dark tunnel and smile and be alive again and be thriving with your family and doing what you're supposed to do, supporting your children and having a happy family life. So I want to encourage you to go back to the person that sent you this video. I want you to encourage you to go and look further at the right information. You'll find lots of good, bad, and ugly on Google, and you'll find that with anything. If you were to Google any alternative therapy, you'll find good, bad, and ugly on it. It's about finding the right therapist, the right person that can help you. It's about finding the right dosage for yourself. So if you're starting out and you're using it, you're probably not using enough. If you're not getting a result, you're not using it for long enough. And it's really about tweaking the amount of product that you're using. And when people tell you to drink, 4 or 6 cups of ASEA a day, don't think that you have to do that forever. It's to get you over the bump, over that healing period where your body has started to really heal and repair. And then you might be able to come back down to a maintenance dose. So, it's really about having that support and that person that can help you. So the beautiful thing about this company and the way that we do things is that you always have someone to call, whether it's me or your upline, or reach out to someone that can answer your questions, because there is someone that really does want to help you heal and find the right direction for you. If it's not scanner, it might be something else, or kinesiology, or Reiki, or bioresonance, or there's so many things out there that your doctor doesn't know about, and the pain clinics certainly don't know about it. So I know I've dealt with the pain clinics, and a really interesting thing, when I exhibited at the Pain Medicine Society conference a few years ago with the scanner technology, I spoke to a number of nurses and people, and they said, we have technology like this. They're using TENS devices, and TENS devices are old devices. They're not even like something that's communicating with the brain and biofeedback. So they're cheap. So the difference is a TENS device is cheap, and a scanner device is more expensive because it's got this technology built in that works. It's the same thing with ASEA and Renew. It's been protected, and the doctors don't know about it because Big Pharma did try and buy it for $1 billion cash. And we're so grateful, and I'm forever indebted for Tyler and Vertus Norton for saying no to that money, so that we can all have this product in our house and our home, and we can share it with our family. It really is a gift, and we should be sharing it and loving it and using it. So please, you get off the fence and try it and do it properly, and you'll see you too can have an amazing result. So I think on that note, I've kept you long enough, and thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks to John and Karen. Let's give them a round of applause. I really appreciate their time and their energy.
Hey, John and Karen, thank you.
Thank you.
I love seeing them smile and hang out with us now and share ASEA with all their family, friends, and clients as well. So please go back to
public speaking.
And when I asked John to do this a few days ago, he freaked out and said no. And Karen and I said, well, it's about time he told his story, because it's a good one. And the world needs to hear more stories like this, because there's people sitting in dark places in houses that are suicidal, and there's too many of them. It's an epidemic going on, and we need to get people out of the dark rooms and get them back to living. So go out and be the voice and the light and share this. And yeah, we're all meant to thrive and shine. So good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and have a great week.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks, Sally. Great work, everyone.